Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Full Spectrum D&D podcast. My name is Trey.
I am Rundgren.
We've got a little bit of stuff to continue moving on with as we're looking into Von Richten's guide to Ravenloft.
Very excited.
But before we dip back into the book, I wanted to hit one quick news topic. It's not a big thing. We don't cover video games on this podcast. That's what we do on the Tuesday podcast for. But there was a Dungeons & Dragons game that came out, Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance.
Yes.
We covered those reviews on Tuesday, so if you want to hear how bad those reviews were, and you want to hear our thoughts on the footage that we've seen, then you can check out the Tuesday podcast. The VOD is up on YouTube. I'll put a link into it in the description just to be safe. But we cover that there, so we're not really going to cover that here, but I wanted to touch on it in case people were like, what's a D&D podcast? Why aren't you talking about the D&D game?
Right.
So we have a different podcast that covers games.
Exactly.
But yeah, we talked about some Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. Go ahead.
Well, you were talking about the last time the subclasses, but you explained to me they're kind of they're really more races.
Right, they're almost like sub races, and we covered the lineages is what they're called.
Okay, thank you. I lost the way.
No
I
worries.
haven't looked at this.
Right, we've kept Rundgren in the dark. Which is ironic for Ravenloft.
Yeah.
We've kept Rundgren in the dark so that he can be surprised by the things that we're talking about. And so I've gotten to look over a bunch of this. And the stuff that we're talking about tonight, I do think is going to take a little bit of time because we're talking about a brand new subsystem that's been added in with this.
Okay.
And this, much like the sub-races, the lineages, I think you could take out of the Shadowfell, as you will hear us call it sometimes, or Ravenloft. They're one and the same now.
Yeah.
You can take it out of Ravenloft and add it back into regular D&D if you want to.
Okay.
They're very powerful, but these dark gifts come at a cost in a way that I think is really interesting from an RP perspective.
All right.
So I'm excited to hear your thoughts on those. For anybody who's like, man, we're still just on chapter 1. This is the second podcast about this. We're probably going to be on chapter 1 through tonight. But hopefully we can start on chapter 2 next week. And then we're probably going to skip a lot of the little things like chapter 2 has.
Okay.
Just talk about the Dark Lords and then go straight into chapter 3 with the domains.
Right.
Because the main thing with the Dark Lords is making your own.
Oh, okay.
And so we'll talk about that process a little bit, but I don't think we necessarily want to, just make up a whole bunch of them.
We might take a few minutes look at that.
Yeah.
They give guidelines for it, is what you're saying?
They do.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll take a few minutes to look at that, read over them.
And then chapter 4, which we'll get to just as a reminder for things you can look forward to for the podcast. Chapter 4, when we get to that, will be about the adventures, including 2 new sub-features that you can use in adventures, the Taraka deck and the Spirit board. And then chapter 5 will be about the new monsters.
Now, are they offering... Wizards doesn't offer the Taraka deck, or the... I know there is some... I don't think they don't offer the Spirit board or the Taraka deck as an actual...
Physical things,
Physical thing, do they?
Not
you
yet.
Have to go, you have to go... I know there's independent places that do.
My guess is that if Ravenloft is a big hit, they probably will.
Yeah.
But right now you cannot. Just like the deck of many things, which they've never really... You can get it.
Well,
from third-party sellers,
but and in all defense, it's not that unusual.
Oh yeah,
they're not a miniature, or, or a dice maker or anything like that.
Right.
They make the books, but yeah, it would be nice. I'm kind of wondering about that because they have put out miniatures, official D&D miniatures,
right?
And they're metal, and you could get them in the little hobby section there.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
At Walmart. So yeah, I kind of wonder about that. Well, we talked about the accessories kit for the Feywild one, so maybe we'll get some answers to that down the line.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah,
I'd love to have like a supplemental pack that comes out that just has some of those things. You know,
and if they're going to do it for anything, there's enough tactile stuff in Ravenloft that you could use.
I agree.
That would be fun. Off subject. Sorry.
No, absolutely. If I can tie it back into the dark gifts, it'd be really cool to have like the spell cards that are made. Some cards for these dark gifts as well. So we're not going to read every paragraph verbatim because obviously if we did that, what would be the point of buying the book? But I'm going to read a couple of these verbatim for Rundgren here because these first couple paragraphs are very important for understanding what these dark gifts really are.
Gotcha.
Book says, the dark powers, dark gifts, the dark powers again being those that influence the Shadowfell, Ravenloft.
Right.
The dark powers influence many who struggle within their clutches, tempting both the innocent and ambitious with whispered promises. These sinister bargains are rarely spoken, coming in dreams or mysterious visions, but their terms are always clear and their prices terrible. And I think that first paragraph is so important because this is not a way for a DM to pull a trick on a player and make them bound by it. They have to know what the bounds are.
Well, you had me, it's warlock until that last foot. No, it's clear on this one. On this pact, it's clear.
Right.
The warlock pact is, hey, I'll let you know later.
I got you. Don't worry about it.
I'll let you know later. We'll talk about it.
Right.
But yeah, this one's definitely, I like that.
I'm glad they added it in there because I could absolutely see some DMs that were getting a little bit frustrated with the player going, oh, well, I'll give you a gift.
Yeah.
And if you are that DM, don't get upset that you don't have these as an option. You still have cursed weapons. It's fine. Second paragraph, a character can select a dark gift from the dark gift description section, which we'll get into in a minute.
Right.
The supernatural gift expresses both a mysterious power and insidious influence. Work with your DM to determine how your character gained this dark gift. Is it the manifestation of a family curse? Is it a reward for a sacrifice you made at a forgotten shrine? Did you bargain with a voice whispering from a mirror, the sea, or the mists? Does the dark gift compound with your other character choices to reinforce your unique origin? Each dark gift can be expressed in various ways, with the following options exploring various manifestations to spark your imagination. Dark gifts are intended for starting characters.
Yeah.
But characters who don't choose one might be presented with opportunities to gain a dark gift as their stories and desperate circumstances unfold.
So this is a little bit different. Now, you're given, in the DM's guide, you're given boons.
Right.
And those are meant for, 20th level
Yes.
character. You can give them out before then, be very careful.
Right.
Which ones you may give out. But they're meant for 20th level. These are kind of like, it just sounds like complete opposite to me.
Yes.
In a exciting way. I mean, I'm not putting them down at all. But as you're reading through that, I'm thinking the amount of emphasis they're putting on character backstory on this. I'm gonna go back and look at some of my other stuff and see if they've dug into it like this before.
Yeah.
Because it really, when I think of backstory so far, what we've been given in 5th edition, it's just kind of like an afterthought almost.
It is. Absolutely.
You do a couple of good things. And this, it seems to be on the forefront of it.
Right.
So I like that.
I think this ties in really well, too, with the lineages, the sub-races, as we called it, because you have the different options of maybe your gift happened because you were reborn, right? Or maybe your gift came with the vampirism.
Yeah.
Or maybe your gift came with the witch's power. And now you're bound by them. But again, like I said, once we get into them, I think you'll agree, you can take these gifts and give them in other campaigns to a starting character. I'm imagining, I always go back to a human fighter, right?
Yeah.
But I'm imagining a human fighter that is level 1 that was terribly injured in a fight. Maybe his whole squad is killed, and he walks away from that battle with this dark gift. This is the only reason why he survived. And now he's back to level 1 fighter. He's having to relearn how to fight again because of how bad that battle was and the trauma it caused. But now he's got this underlying thing that is eating at him, Or I could imagine, just as we talked about with the Hexblood, maybe a child that is rescued by a hag.
Yeah.
And she bestows this boon upon him.
Yeah.
Or maybe, again, the Mist choose somebody. And one of these gifts, as we get to it, is a Mist Walker. The Mist chooses you. And, hey, at some point in your life, you're not going to be on this plane anymore. You're going to be coming to the Shadowfell.
Before you get into the individual gift, how many are there?
I was not ready for that question. 1,
because this
two.
This seems like I don't know. This has me really interested in like building up the backstory, because we were given 3 options on the lineages
6.
and kind of built up, and rules on how to use different races. Excuse me. In that
8. There are 8.
But these, I don't know. It's like the next step. I'm thinking of them from this feels like the next step of making a reborn.
Yes, I agree.
For me, because that's the one that, I don't know. There's something about a reborn fighter.
Yep.
And okay, so now we're at this next step.
Yep.
And this gifts. Cause out of the 3, thinking about it, that's the one I want.
Oh, yeah.
Reborn of that. So the next gifts. All right. So there's 8 of them.
8 of them.
Okay.
And of course, they get into here how it can also be a bargain. It doesn't have to be something you take at level 1.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a starting thing. Characters who don't have a dark gift might gain one in the course of their adventure.
Well, if you're starting at 5th level or something like that, that's cool.
At the DM's discretion, sinister forces might contact a character and offer them a dark gift in return for some service or future favor. Especially if you're playing Ravenloft, you got Strahd right there.
Yeah.
You know, maybe he's not going to turn them into a vampire, but maybe he'll give them a gift.
Yeah.
And of course, any gift given by Strahd has a tug to it.
Yeah.
And yet again, if you want to use this in regular D&D, the first one I thought of was Vecna.
Yeah.
Vecna would absolutely go, hey, yeah, I'll give you a gift.
Yeah.
But here's the rules of it. You need to know this is what you have to deal with it. But I'll give it to you. Because he already does that with the become a priest of Vecna, lose your hand, lose your eye.
Well, this also gives you something to play with the devils in the
Absolutely.
Monster Manual.
Absolutely.
You know, we've made comments about the Monster Manual before and stuff. We'd like a little bit more, a little bit thicker. And I don't know. That's where I'm kind of going with these. I don't know what they are, but we can.
Let's get into them because I think you're gonna like them. It does mention here if you already have a dark gift, accepting a bargain like that erases your previous one and gives you a new one.
Okay.
Because you can't have more than one.
Right.
Anything like that, whoever gave you that bargain, whether it was
is
a dark
that the only way to get rid of a dark gift?
I guess is to get another one.
Accept another one.
Oh, that's really evocative. You can get them from anything, basically. It can be a being. It can be an agenda from a higher power. It can be the dark powers. It can be a dark lord. It even says, or a more mysterious force. So my first thought there was the Fae. Because the gift of the Fae is already a thing in legend, right? Dark gifts would make perfect sense to be a gift from the Archfey. The particulars of the dark gift and how it will affect a character must be clear to a player, again, before they choose to accept. Or not to accept. They have to know the terms, which again is very much like a Fae contract.
Yeah.
Very cool in that way.
Now, clever DMs, ones that are much cleverer than I am, will have a lot of fun with this.
Oh, monkey's paw.
Not in a jerk's way, but just taking time with the wording and everything. And if the player, if you have a good player and they realize, even if they figure it out, they realize their character wouldn't know it.
Right.
That would be, you have a lot of fun with these so far. It sounds like it.
They give some examples here of times that you as a DM, which again, we've said before, I wish the books had more for DMs, especially for learning DMs. It is great that Ravenloft just continues to have these sections of like, hey, here are some examples in case you want to figure out how you would work it in.
Right.
And the examples they give are a Dark Lord will negotiate with a party only if a character seals the deal with a dark gift.
Okay.
Which is really clever. Time stops while a character's on the brink of death. A mysterious voice offers to save the character's life, but only if they accept a gift. An experiment or magical accident goes wrong. The DM allows a character to accept a dark gift or some other peril as the result. So in that situation, you get an option. You can either take this or something else will happen. This one, better the evil you know, right?
Right.
This one you know the terms of. Whatever else I roll for in a second, you won't. Which is really cool. I like that a lot. A character breaks a vow, and in this case, one of the first things I thought of was a paladin or a cleric that breaks their vow, or a warlock that breaks their contract, or suffers a curse, gaining a dark gift as a result. I could see if you had a pact with the Archfey, and you broke that pact, the Archfey going, okay, here you go.
You're cursed.
Yeah. A character touches a mysterious amber sarcophagus, and a force within entreats them to accept its influence in the form of a dark gift.
Nice.
Which again would be also like a Vecna or a Strahd, which would be really cool. So the gifts are. Do you want me to name them off or name them off as we go through them?
Just name them off as we go through.
Okay. The first one is Echoing Soul.
Okay.
Your soul is not your own anymore, or maybe it never was always yours.
Okay.
Whether you've lived past lives, your soul was swapped into a different body, or you have a link connecting you to another being, your experience echoes from that other life. These echoes grant you knowledge, talents, or even languages you can't always explain, but they also intrude on your perceptions and beliefs unexpectedly. I love this. Can you imagine you're playing a paladin and the Echo is not a paladin? The Echo is somebody who does not follow the gods.
Immediately, I went to somebody who's right-handed.
Yeah.
But the body's right-handed, right?
Yes.
The spirit, yeah, or the possessing Echo
is not. Yes.
Left-handed.
So cool.
Putting things in their left pocket or on their left side that
right.
supposed to be on the right. That's cool. I like that.
If you choose the Soul Echoes, Echoing Soul, Dark Gift, there is a table you can roll on if you want to, just like all the others so far.
Okay.
That gives you some different versions of it. So if you want to do this, but you can't come up with a good idea, the table's here for you. Number 1, my soul is linked with that of a person elsewhere, perhaps another domain, world, or plane. So this would just be another human, which would be a little bit more mundane, but also, like you said, that's where you have options for left-handed, right-handed.
Yeah.
You have options for genders.
Well, just on the
dysphoria there.
Just on the level, it could be as little as something as left-handed or right-handed.
Absolutely.
To as big as something like you're talking about with the paladin with the moral compass.
Yes, absolutely.
It's completely different. So it's which one you pick and how it plays out. Like I said, it could be an annoyance to detrimental to the character.
Can you imagine a rogue assassin that the echoed soul is that of like somebody who runs an orphanage? That desperately loves everybody and is trying to help everybody they can, and the assassin's getting ready to kill somebody, and the echo triggers, and then I can't kill this person. How can I do that? Just so many options. Number 2 is I have lived many times before, my soul reincarnating each time I die rather than passing on.
That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, you can have a lot of different people intrude there.
Well,
because it's the same person, but different circumstances every time.
Well, see, that is a little bit, and this is deep D&D lore. Or if you know what a steel dragon is,
yes,
that's kind of their story.
Yes,
because when they're walking, they're immortal.
Yes,
dragons, but as they're walking, they don't know as they're living as this dwarf this time,
and then suddenly it awakens in them.
Yeah, or well, I think with the steel
sometimes
dragon,
it never does. Yeah,
after they live that life.
Yes.
They go to their true form, and I think they take something from it, and they keep
right.
that one little thing. Anyway,
that's
a really interesting.
It absolutely
an old soul for a
new body.
I think I'd want to play. Yeah, definitely play a young character.
You could play a Doctor Who the kind of character that way too.
Oh yeah,
of I keep reincarnating into different bodies, but it's still me.
Yeah.
Number 3 is my consciousness was removed from my original body and implanted in this one. Which I love. I love the idea of that, of just, when I go to reach out for something, I realize again, this is not my body.
Yeah.
Or it moves slower than I remember it moving,
Or if you, coming back to the last unicorn thing, if you were in the body of an immortal.
Yeah.
And
imagine an elf now in a human body.
Yes.
Yes.
Something that was immortal. It's like, it's dying. Yep. I can feel it.
You're going to love this one.
Okay.
Number 4 is I was physically and spiritually merged with another being. Now the souls are together.
Yeah.
And they're not separated anymore.
So you have to deal with both of them.
And you have to deal with both. To pull a big anime nerd reference, I think of Piccolo when he fuses with Nail in Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
And there's this immediate disconnect between the two as to how they want to live.
Yeah.
They both have different goals.
Right.
And they even state, hey, over time, the souls will merge completely and there will be no more disconnect. But at first, it's, hey, I want to go kill that guy who killed all my people. And hey, I want to go protect my friends.
I'm pretty sure there's a Steve Martin movie about this.
There probably is. But just a really cool idea. Especially if you have like 2 character sheets.
Yes.
And you have 2 completely different characters in your mind. And
now,
they merge.
We've actually done this with a few different ideas.
Yeah.
One was that the physical stats would remain the same.
Right.
You have 2 different sets of mental stats. And flipping the page. And then I think also it was random.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. So there was a role, I think, under stressful situation.
Yeah.
The great life cleric we speak of.
Yeah.
It was it was his character.
Oh, that's great.
So I'll check with him.
Check
with him.
That's cool. Number 5 is I share my body with an intangible, otherworldly force.
Okay.
And if you've ever played Dragon Age, I think of Justice.
Yeah.
That took over a dead body, and then the body still had self. And so it was having to fight with Justice. And Justice kept winning.
Right.
But still, there's a force fighting against the force of Justice, you know? That's a really cool idea. And then number 6 is time fractures around me, and I sometimes collide with my own past or future. So it's not that it's a different person.
Yeah.
It's a different time. It's a different you. You yourself were a different person or will be a different person.
Right.
In slight ways that are just enough to jar you.
Yeah.
And I like that. That's really cool. So each one of these has an intrusive element because, again, there's a negative, right?
Yes.
But they all come with positives as well. This one gives you proficiency in 2 skills of your choice.
And that's nice.
Which is very good. And you have inherent tongue. You can speak, read, and write one additional language of your choice. Obviously should be thematic, right?
Yeah.
But still a really cool idea. This is where the intrusive part comes in. Immediately after you make an attack roll, an ability check, or a saving throw, and roll a 1,
Okay.
your soul's memories emerge and overtake your perception and experiences. You might see people around you as someone other than who they are, or you become disoriented by a double experience of the world around you. You can roll on this table, or you can choose an effect, or you and your DM, depending on what you've decided, can choose an effect. I like the table myself because of the sheer chaos that it causes.
Yeah, well, see, that makes me want to play the Minotaur.
Yes.
Right? And a Minotaur barbarian just making,
Yeah.
just big manly guy, right? And then have the echo. I don't know, just
Be a wizard.
No, just as frail and frightened as possible.
Yes.
So if he comes up in the middle of a bloody battle,
Yeah.
he would drop his weapon
Oh,
and
yeah.
squeal.
Yes. They do specify that once any of these effects occur, they can't manifest again until you finish a short or long rest. So you only have to deal with 1 per rest, right? Which I think balances it really well because some of these are really good. Number 1 on the table is you are charmed by a creature you can see of the DM's choice for 1 minute until the creature damages you.
Okay.
Because again, your perception's messed up. That
Yeah.
person might not be an enemy, actually. They might be your dad or your sibling or your old friend,
Mama.
Exactly. Number 2, you were frightened by a character you can see of the DM's choice for a minute or until the creature damages you. Number 3, you perceive another time or place around you until your next turn. You are blinded to your actual surroundings, which thematically is so cool.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm where am I? What is going on? And you don't see anything about where you're actually at.
That's cool.
Number 4 is you perceive a different time or place overlapping your surroundings. Again, your speed is halved. So in this one, it's not that you're lost in the place. It's you can see the difference between the two, but it's affecting your body. Taking a step is weird when you're seeing 2 different overlapping layers,
Yeah.
Number 5 is memories and sensations overwhelm you. You're incapacitated until the start of your next turn, which is very tough to deal with.
Yeah.
Number 6, this is a rough one. Your memory is one of triumph. You can re-roll the ability check, attack roll, or saving throw that you just made. You must use the new roll. So it's not going to be a 1, right? Unless you roll a 1 again.
Yeah, right.
But it's a good thing. But you only get a good outcome on the 6.
Yeah.
So I like it. I think it's a really cool... RP-wise, there's a lot you can do with that.
Yes.
I think so. That bonus-wise, it's probably not worth it.
Well, I think the only change I'll make to that chart, which is on the top of my head right now, is I think it was the 5th one.
Yeah.
Where at half the movement.
Right.
I think it feels like moving through difficult terrain and use those rules instead of cutting somebody's movement in half.
I agree. I agree. But otherwise, I think that this is that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So
and yes, people who can move through difficult terrain at normal speed, that wouldn't count. It would still affect them.
Yeah, their speed will be halved. Gathered Whispers is the next one.
Okay.
You are haunted by spiritual beings, whether the souls of the departed are entities from another plane. Their voice endlessly whisper, taunt, or cajole, sometimes rising to unearthly howls. Only you can perceive the spirits unless you allow them to speak through you. The spirits are intangible and invisible. Anyone who can see invisible creatures sees only fleeting glimpses of these spirits as they haunt you. Pretty cool idea.
I would like to run that'd be fun to DM, but I definitely want a small group for that.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm thinking maybe like two people. You know.
I'm not gonna take as much time breaking all these down because I just looked at how long we spent on just one.
Okay.
And we have 7 more of these to go.
Right.
But I do want to give these their due. Right.
Okay.
The first option that they give on the table is a council of my dead ancestors watches over me.
Okay.
And I really like that idea of just, hey, they're all there and they're always talking.
Yeah.
Whether for good or ill.
All kinds of examples, all kinds of settings.
Yeah.
You could use where that would be appropriate.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine a campaign run in the Ravenloft ancient China they have here, where your ancestors have all come to help you all at the same time,
right?
And they're all talking.
Well, like more like an Aboriginal.
Yeah,
setting.
absolutely.
I think that would be appropriate for that too. That's a cool one.
I think my favorite thing about this is the endlessly speaking, whether it's whispers, taunts, cajoles, help, howling. It's endlessly speaking. I really like that thematically. Number 2 is fiendish presences vie for my soul. So that's a legion situation.
Yeah.
Number 3 is unquiet souls are drawn to me and beg for peace. Anybody that's ever seen Bleach, that's Ichigo.
I'd love, hey, please play a cleric.
Yeah, right?
And yeah.
Number 4, the spirits of those I killed linger around me. I love that.
Yeah.
I love constantly trying to drag you back because of what you did to them. Number 5, an alien intelligence intrudes upon my thoughts. It's dipping into the far realm.
Yeah, mind flayers.
The whispers.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool for a mind flayer.
Summon Cthulhu.
Think of the
Cthulhu.
What are the little earworm? But they go through the eye. I can't remember what they're called.
Yes, I can't either, but I know what you're talking about.
Well, never mind.
It'll hit me later.
Right, 3:00 in the morning. I'll be like, oh yeah.
And this one's really interesting.
All right.
A sibling I don't have shares my body.
Oh man, think of the dark half, Stephen King.
Yep.
That'd be cool.
Yep. So you learn the message cantrip with this. That's the gain, right?
Okay.
If you don't already know it, and it requires no components to cast, the messages are delivered by one of your whispering spirits rather than you, or the target's voice. Your spellcasting ability is intelligence, wisdom, or charisma because you get to choose. You also have sudden cacophony. When you're hit by an attack roll, you can use your reaction to channel your haunting spirits, letting their voices howl through you. If the attacker isn't deafened, add your proficiency bonus to your AC against that attack, potentially causing it to miss.
Wow.
Once this trait causes an attack to miss, you can't use the trait again until you finish a long rest.
Oh, man.
So burn your reaction, add your proficiency bonus to your AC.
Survive that last attack.
Yep.
And go in and be the hero.
Yep. And I love the idea of they go to hit you and the spirits just go, no.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's so cool thematically. But again, if you roll a 1, gonna roll on the table. This one's only a D4 on the table instead of a D6. Number 1 is you have disadvantage on the next attack roll, ability check, or saving throw you make. I think that makes perfect sense because you have these constant whispering voices and you are now succumbing to them for a moment.
Yes.
Number 2 is you are deafened by the voices for 1 minute. You can't hear anything else, which thematically, again, is super cool. Number 3 is you are frightened of the creature closest to you other than yourself until the end of your next turn. If multiple creatures are closest, the DM chooses which creature you're frightened of.
Other than yourself.
Yeah, other than yourself. You can't be frightened by yourself.
Why can't you be frightened by yourself? Of yourself? That'd be amazing.
Number 4 is within the next 10 minutes, you can ask your spirits about the result of a specific course of action that you plan to take within the next 30 minutes. You can receive an omen as if you had cast the augury spell. The omen manifests as whispering from your spirits perceptible only to you. So if you roll the 4 on there, you get a boon, and it's a pretty good one.
Yeah. That's one, if you got a character, if you got somebody playing that character.
Yeah.
man, you're gonna have to be on your toes.
Yeah.
Because I can see you getting lost in battle.
Oh yeah.
And then it's not going to happen all the time.
Right.
Hopefully, but I can see you getting lost in keeping up with the battle and who's going and what's going on, and all of a sudden there's a 4.
Yeah, I need an omen.
Yeah. Ooh.
What do my ancestors tell me?
Yeah.
Oh man, I think this one, it's not as full as the other one, right?
Yeah.
The echoing soul is far more full of options, but I think this one, the Gathered Whispers, so far of the 2 we covered, is my favorite.
Okay.
It's just evocative to me. I love this idea of, hey, your boons are really good, but your bane is you will never have peace again.
Right.
And that is effective immediately. The next one is Living Shadow. The shadow you cast is animate and ever present, even when lighting conditions would otherwise prevent it. Your shadow occasionally moves out of sync with you. Sometimes it appears to be undertaking random but mundane tasks, while at other times it acts out your darker impulses, threatening or even attacking other shadows. With effort, you can bend this shadow puppetry to your will.
Nice.
I love this. This is so cool.
Yeah. This is the original Dark Peter Pan here.
Yep. Can you imagine your role-playing? You're talking to a king. The king is getting on your nerves, but your character's being reserved and keeping peaceful.
Back there.
And your shadow's just over there hacking away at the king's shadow.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cool. So yet again, we get a table. There's a table for all of these. Number 1 on the table is my shadow often holds weapons or bears wounds that don't exist. Very evocative, very cool.
Yeah.
Why is my shadow hurt? What?
Is my shadow missing an arm?
Right? Number 2, when I'm distracted, my shadow panics and tries to get other people's attention as if it's desperate to escape me. I love this. You're focused on something. Hey, DM, I want to do a perception check. I want to get a lay of the land. I want to look around. Yeah. You're rolling. You're trying to look. And then the DM goes, player 2, you see his shadow just like grasping out towards you, begging you.
Just waving hands above his head, trying to get your attention.
Oh, that's so cool. Number 3, when it's not being watched, my shadow makes threatening gestures or creeps towards people, which is very cool. My shadow's movements mirror mine incorrectly. It's number 4, when I raise my left hand, my shadow moves its right. Mirror world.
Yeah.
Number 5 is my shadow fiddles with or occasionally breaks tiny non-magical objects.
Oh.
So that shadow can interact with things in the world.
That would be a lot. I like that.
Number 6 is there's a slight but noticeable delay between my movements and those of my shadow.
That's interesting too.
As a DM, there's so many options there to mess with a player's head.
Yeah.
Or even to have something hiding in that shadow. And it's performing the act of the shadow, but it's bad at it.
Yeah.
You know? So the boons, right? You learn the Mage Hand cantrip if you don't already know it, and it requires no components to cast. The hand created by the spell is shadowy, but is not bound to your actual shadow, so it still works as Mage Hand.
Okay.
You also get Shadow Strike when you make a melee attack roll. You can increase your reach for that attack by 10 feet. Your shadow stretches and delivers the attack as if it were you. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
That's nice.
It's so cool.
That's fun.
Imagine a rogue that's over there like, well, I'm not within range to get sneak attack.
Yeah.
But my shadow is. Yeah. The shadow just comes up, scat.
That's cool, man.
However, the negative on this one is not a table.
Okay.
If you roll a 1 on your d20 for an attack roll, ability check, saving throw, your shadow exerts a will of its own and might assist or hinder you or those around you. The next time, it doesn't happen immediately. The next time, I love this.
Yeah.
The next time you or a creature within 30 feet of you that you can see makes an attack roll, an ability check, or a saving throw, roll a d4. If the number's odd, reduce the total by the number rolled. If the number's even, increase the total by the number rolled. Once this effect occurs, it can't happen again until you finish a short or long rest. So, in that, it's completely random whether the shadow's helping or hurting.
Right.
And you don't know. Maybe the next one to attack is an enemy. and you have increased their roll.
That would almost be a dice roll that I would argue to be by the DM.
Yes,
behind
I
the
agree.
screen,
I
kind
agree.
of like the
So
hide.
The player doesn't know.
Yeah, kind of like hide. Hide is a good one to take behind the screen.
Yes.
I usually don't, just for flow of game.
Right.
While we're playing, but I was a good. You think you're hid?
Can you imagine you're fighting, and you know you rolled a 1, and you don't know when it's going to come up.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you get attacked, and the DM goes, as the sword goes to come down, it barely misses you, but your shadow grabs the arm and pulls it back so the sword connects. It's like, ooh.
I hate you, Shadow.
That's all for the shadow. I think like they balanced it really well.
Yeah.
In that it's not too much.
Yeah. I
But
agree.
it's fun roleplay wise. This
think
is
so.
one that I 100% think you can take out of Ravenloft
Yeah.
and put in a regular campaign.
Yeah. I don't think there's it feels flavor without
Yeah,
breaking.
I agree.
So I like it.
I think the Whispers has like specific places it can work. I think Echoing Soul can work anywhere.
Yeah.
Right, because that is tied to RP. That's not tied to a place. This one is a little bit more tied to the Domains of Dread.
Okay.
This is Mistwalker.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would guess so. Yeah, okay.
You know.
That makes sense.
The Mist grip all who tread the Domains of Dread, but you know how to slip through their grasp. You can navigate the Mist successfully, given enough time and a little luck, but this freedom comes with a price. If you remain in one area for too long, the Mists find you and drain your life force.
Oh, that's lovely.
So you have to keep moving, right? So you roll a d4. Number 1 is you learned a secret about the nature of the Mists. Ever since you can manipulate them, but the lands you walk have turned against you, which is just the basic version of it, right?
Yeah. I want to run. I already want to run a campaign. Everybody's a Mistwalker.
Yeah.
You got Monster of the Week.
Yeah, absolutely. And like a Western, you're going from town to town, from plane to plane.
Yeah.
That'd be so much fun.
Yeah, it would.
Could I play a cowboy? Could I play Bat Masterson as a Mistwalker?
Yes, but
I want a campaign that is Bat Masterson, Carmen Sandiego, Lupin the Third, and then Geralt of Rivia, and that's the party.
Okay. Well, that would come close. Not exactly what I had in mind, but
And they're all human.
yes.
Number 2 is you fled into the mist to escape someone or something that's hunting you. You can never rest for long, knowing you're still being pursued.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Number 3, you're part of an organization, a family, or an itinerant community with experience traveling the mists. They taught you how to do the same.
Oh, like a guild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very cool. Number 4 is the mist stole you from your home and fractured your memories of where you're from. You've been on a quest to find your way back ever since.
Nice. I like that one.
I do too.
That was solid. For sure.
That's the table. Just a D4.
Well, I like the being hunted one
Yeah.
because by the way, the Mists have your hunter as well.
Yes.
Okay, so you're bouncing around. So like the monster hunter of the week,
Yes.
the party thing, yeah. So roll a percentile.
Right. After every situation.
Yeah.
It makes me think about Wolverine and Sabretooth too, from the comics.
Yeah. Absolutely.
How like they have their own lives,
yes.
but they're hunting each other constantly.
Yes.
And anytime they get within enough range that one can smell the other, fight on.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's a really cool way to look at it as well. Your boons, you get Misty Step, requiring no spell slot. But you must finish a long rest again before you can cast it that way.
But you can just use Misty Step once.
Yeah.
I'm like,
If you have spell slots of 2nd level or higher, you can also cast it with your spell slots.
Right.
But you also have this free one.
Right.
So, very, very good. Very powerful.
Yes.
Mist Traveler is your next one. When you enter the mist intent on reaching a specific domain, you are treated as if you possess a mist talisman
Yes.
keyed to that domain, which we'll get into those when we get into the domains. To use this trait, you must know the name of the domain you have chosen as your destination, but you don't need to have previously visited that land.
Right.
This trait doesn't allow you to bypass domain borders closed by a Dark Lord.
Okay.
So you can't
So
just
Strahd
sneak in.
says
with
you're
it.
not coming in. You're not coming in.
Right. But otherwise, if you know where it's at, you can get there. Oh, man. So all it takes is somebody telling you the name,
Yeah.
and you can go.
Yeah.
Very cool. The Bane because we had our boon. Now here's our bane. Poison roots. When you finish a long rest, the world around you in a 10-mile radius becomes a siphon that will eventually leach away your vitality. You can remain in the area safely for a number of weeks equal to your constitution modifier, with a minimum of 1 week. Thereafter, each time you finish a long rest in the area, you must succeed on a DC 15 Constitution saving throw or gain 1 level of exhaustion that can't be removed by any means while you remain in the area.
Wow.
So you will eventually die if you can't get out of that 10-mile area.
No home base for this.
Nope. Got to keep walking.
Well, no home base they can rest at.
Yeah. Yeah, they could come back there, but they can't sleep there.
Yeah. Wow.
10 miles is a pretty good range, too, for especially early level when you're going to be on foot.
Well, it puts it in there. You cannot, there's no town you're going to be able to sit down in.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, you got to keep going.
There's no, you can't get to know people.
It's very cool. I like, so
Except
far,
other Mistwalkers.
I like all of these dark gifts.
Yeah.
They're all really cool. This is the first one, again, that I think you really need to be in the Domains of Dread for it to really benefit you. But you can have a Mistwalker step out of them for a little while.
Right.
Knowing they're going to have to go back.
Yeah.
Next up is Second Skin.
Okay.
There's another side of you that most people never see. When you show this side of yourself, you might become another person entirely. A celestial-like avenger or a walking nightmare. Whatever the specifics of this form, it exaggerates some drive or hidden nature within you. There's a D6 table. The options they give here are an exaggerated version of your own form.
Right.
Which, I mean, that would make sense. It's a little bit less cool than all the others. But
Well, I think this one right now is you got examples you can go to. Dr.
Right.
The Incredible Hulk.
yes, absolutely.
You know, and there's
Shazam.
a few more. Yeah. You know, where you have this alter ego.
It's idealized version of yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And I think this would be an easy one to kind of slide into. A little bit of experience role playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and of the ones so far,
Right.
that I can go, you know what, this is, I can do this.
Yes.
You know,
I agree. Number 2, again, I think number 1 makes sense, but I also think it's maybe the most boring of them in my opinion. Number 2 is a hybrid form of a humanoid and a beast.
right?
You could
cool.
be a werewolf that way
Yeah.
if you wanted to, without having to not be human still.
Right.
Although you could also go like a bird or a wolf or
Absolutely.
you know, a bear or anything like that.
Yeah.
A hybrid of those. Number 3 is an angelic, demonic, or an aberrant form, and I love the idea of an aberrant form. I love the idea of like you've been touched by the far realm.
Yeah.
And whenever this triggers, you become just
whatever.
gone.
Yeah.
You know, you are no longer even close to being human. Number 4 is a vaguely human-shaped creature made of slime, which is very fun.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Number 5 is a fey-like shape, either brooding or passionate.
I think I'd have to make if somebody was like, okay, I'm the humanoid form made of slime.
Yeah.
All right, look, we're gonna have a panic roll. It's very rare.
Yes.
If you really get panicked, you're just gonna go to pieces. Like,
Yes.
literally, you're just gonna come apart. Yeah.
Yep, I agree. And it takes
fun.
you a while to pull yourself back together.
Yeah.
And number 6, a body constructed of metal, stone, or machinery.
Okay. Golem.
Yes,
Lots of golems.
100%. Transformation. You can cast the Alter Self spell to appear in your second form.
Okay.
When you do so, you gain the effects of that spell's change appearance option and cannot end it to gain the benefits of a different option because you just have the one.
Right.
Casting Alter Self in this way requires no spell slot, and you must finish a long rest before you can use it again. And again, your spellcasting ability, intelligence, wisdom, charisma, depending.
Yes.
If you have spell slots at second level or higher, you can cast the spell with them. When you cast Alter Self using this feature, some cosmetic aspect of your second form remains after the spell ends. This visibly marks you unless you actively hide it or disguise it. The mark is perceptible change such as scaly skin, stunted wings, eyes without pupil or horns. The mark fades after you finish a long rest.
Okay.
So the first thing I think of is Ben Grimm,
Yeah.
but it goes away every time. But then when you turn back, you're stuck with it again until you get to sleep.
That one, I like that.
Very
It's
cool.
Very interesting.
Very cool. Certain involuntary change. Certain, this is your bane, right? You had your boon.
Oh, right.
Alter self, free.
Yeah.
That's a really good boon.
Yes.
Your bane, involuntary change. Certain circumstances can activate your dark gift. After you experience this catalyst at the start of your next turn, you must succeed on a DC 15 charisma saving throw or use your action to cast Alter Self as described in the transformation trait, even if you've already used it.
Okay.
So maybe this is a bad time to change,
Yes.
but you don't have a choice.
Right.
And here are the things you will roll at the start and get a catalyst on a D6 table.
Okay.
And these are your catalysts, right?
So this is what sets you off. They give it to you. You know at the beginning.
Yes.
Okay.
That if this happens, you are transforming.
Clear cut. You know what's going to happen.
Number one is it's very clear it's the werewolf seeing a particular phase of the moon.
Yeah.
There you go. Number two is the smell of a certain type of flower. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Number three is the sound of ringing temple bells.
That's a cool one.
You hear the bell, you're transforming, whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
Number four is hearing a particular melody.
Yes.
And I love
like
this
that
one because the first thing I think of is Bloodborne. There's a boss in Bloodborne that you can play a music box and the boss staggers
Yeah.
because the music box reminds them of what it's like to be human. This is kind of the inverse,
Yeah.
but still really cool.
Well, it was the same thing. I went to, what was it? When you said that Frankenstein.
Yeah.
On that one with the music box.
Absolutely.
And, or Young Frankenstein. With the
Yep.
Or even on a much milder level, Quasimodo,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
not like I said, milder than
Right.
that, but it's still there. You know, it changes,
Yeah,
which would be the bells.
very cool. Number five is touching pure silver with your bare skin. Obviously, if you're going for the Fae, I would say maybe
one.
talk to your DM. Don't roll. Just take this one.
Take that one, or change it to iron.
Yeah,
You know,
because
if you're
right away.
Yeah, and that's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that.
And maybe depending on your DM and the campaign he's running, there's not going to be a lot of precious metals. Maybe you just make it all raw precious metal.
Like ore.
Yeah, like any individual ore that you touch with bare skin.
Yeah.
Because I'm imagining a campaign that's set at sea, where you're not going to have a lot of iron or silver.
Okay.
Depending on what mythology you're going with, you might not have a lot of the thing that triggers
I
it.
got you.
So you could say, well, yeah, if they touch steel because it's been wrought from those things,
Right.
then it will still have an aversion, you know. Number six is seeing someone resembling a specific individual.
Okay.
I love that one.
Well, that's the Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
One. I kind of like that.
Yep. I like that one a lot. Because even just the idea that might be them triggers it. I could see a revenge quest.
Yeah. Well, I say that's Dracula one. Obviously, that was the exact same person, but it may be, you know, someone with black hair and blue eyes.
Absolutely.
I get, you know, it could be a lot simpler. Doesn't have to be exactly look like them.
Mm-hmm. And especially
6 fingers on the left hand.
if your second form is because you were an experiment and that's the one who experimented on you, you know?
Yeah.
Then, hey, they even look like that. It's triggered my transformation.
Mm.
And for anybody who's like, well, that doesn't seem like much of a bane. If you let's go back to the aberration. If you turn into a squid monster while you're trying to calm the populace,
Or in front of the king.
or in front of the king,
Yeah.
or in a situation where you need that NPC to know that it's going to be okay, or you're trying to strike a deal with somebody, or even if you're just trying to intimidate somebody,
Yeah.
it's going to drastically change that whole interaction.
Well, you're also, when you're making these, the way that these are set up, you're going to do these at session 0.
Yeah.
Discussing back and forth
Right.
with with your DM as you're making your character. So a lot of this, and depending on what y'all have discussed about what y'all are going to be playing, this may be the world building part for the DM as well.
That's right. They're going to know what triggers it.
Yeah, and what you're giving them and the discussion y'all have is going to affect the world, so that it comes into effect.
Absolutely.
On that,
I could see a really easy DM rule here instead of rolling on it of going, hey, my transformation is that I was kidnapped by Svrfneblin and forced to work in the undermines and pull a clacker, right?
Yeah.
I'm slowly turning into this monster and I'm
Yeah.
trying to keep my humanity.
exactly. Yes.
And the trigger is whenever I get angry, I slip closer to that.
Yeah.
And even though it's not on the chart, right?
Well, see,
you could easily home rule that.
We could probably go back. Well, maybe not today.
Yeah.
Not this one.
And home rule any of them.
And come out with something.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not anger. Maybe it's, when you hear the sounds of picks in a mine,
it triggers it.
Yeah.
Or the smell of food, like a
Yeah.
specific type of thing that monster would eat,
Yeah.
And I love that idea because again, not to veer us off too far, I think Clacker is one of the saddest, like low grade characters that have been in any D&D related official fiction.
Yeah.
Because that idea of slowly turning into a beast
Yeah.
and not being able to stop it is horrifying. And I think it's a really cool idea for a character.
Liked it better the first time I heard it when it was Gollum.
I mean, I agree with you. But absolutely, you could do that with a golem as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
Slowly transforming into this and trying to stop it, trying to be normal, because that form doesn't give you the boons that like some of the other cool forms would.
Like you were said as the group was talking, you zone out. Now, were your thoughts there, or were you just being a piece of steel or a piece of stone?
Absolutely. Oh, can you imagine somebody that's been hit the gift, like they get turned to stone by a Gorgon? Yeah. And the gift is given to them that they get to go back. They get to become human again. But the longer, like anytime that they are sedentary, they begin becoming sedimentary again.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
It's such a cool idea. I didn't say that just so I could use that pun.
Yes, you did.
But can you imagine that? Like you're standing still and the DM notices you as the player has not done anything for a second and goes,
your feet
what
are
you doing?
Heavy.
Yeah, look down. And you have to like shake it off. And I imagine a point would come in the campaign where you've gone too far. And now, hey, I can't use my upper arm anymore. Now I can only use this.
Golly, yeah.
You would have to be really into RP to be able to do that. But
yeah. Which I think that's something going into this.
Yeah. These are very RP heavy.
Very RP heavy. And I got nothing against the light non-RP games.
Yeah,
We've talked about that quite a bit. It's just this atmosphere really plays itself towards the RP heavy.
I know you saw the reaction.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a monk that is slowly turning to stone and his fist turned to stone and that's his natural weapon?
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Stone fists.
Yeah.
But again, whenever it triggers, it starts to spread up his arm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's so much you could do with this. We should move to the next one.
Yes.
The next one is symbiotic being.
Venom, huh?
Yes. A second being resides within your body along with you. It manifests physically somewhere on you and relies on you for its survival.
Oh, sorry, I had
No, you're good.
The total recall mode.
Yes.
Open your mind. No.
At the same time, it offers you knowledge and other assistance, either by its own volition or because of your intertwined nature.
Okay.
The symbiote has its own personality and agenda, which might be at odds with yours. If you ignore the symbiote's desires, it might strive to interfere with you. There's no way to be rid of the symbiote while you have this dark gift. Even if you go to drastic lengths, such as severing the part of your body where the symbiote resides, it reappears on your body in another location at the next midnight. You're stuck with this thing. And of course, they have a chart, D6 roll for the nature of the symbiote.
Yeah.
Number 1 is a tiny humanoid facial features protruding from your torso, palm, or the back of your hand.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah, I was just thinking, that's if you need ideas, there's 1,000,001 anime.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
They cover this.
Number 2 is an alien appendage living inside an unhealthy wound.
Okay.
Which is really cool.
Keep it wrapped, keep it doctored.
Yep. Never show it. Number 3 is a burrowing worm-like being. So a worm that lives inside your body. And I can, like, in my head, you would role play that as whenever it comes out to speak, it pops out.
Not me. I would say it was in the brain.
Oh, it had burrowed up so it could speak.
Buried brain, and it speaks to you in your brain. The thing is, it's there, right?
Yeah.
You're not very fond of it. But because of something that cancer, whatever, in the brain that it took care of.
Right.
If it's ever out,
it'll come back.
No, if it ever gets taken out, you die.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. It'll die and you will die.
Yeah.
Well,
You're stuck. Number 4 is an intrusive thought that inhabits your mind.
Okay, I live with this every day. I'm not sure.
I'm right there with you. But mine is always that question of, what if Cthulhu, though? Number 5 is a living tattoo, which I think is a really cool idea.
Cool. There's an old Friday the 13th series. Has nothing to do with Jason. I think they remade it.
Yeah.
But the original one I watched when a kid, one of the episodes, one of the best episodes, was a cursed tattoo gun.
Yeah.
It was made in a jailhouse by, some crazy, killer, serial killer or whatever. And so the tattoos they gave them some kind of boon. Yeah. And at some point in time,
they took a bane.
Yeah, they would kill it, in that it would kill them. I remember one, I don't think he had like a snake and it made him good at something, gambling or something like that. Yeah. And then, of course, one night it came off his arm and bit him and killed him. But I like that.
Very cool idea. Number 6 is crystal growths that replace a portion of your body.
That's pretty cool.
Crystal fingers.
Yeah.
Or a crystal hand, I guess. You wouldn't just do fingers, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you could.
Is that anything like jazz hands? Yeah.
Imagine a crystal eye.
I was thinking a crystal eye would be kind of cool. I was also thinking maybe like spines out of the back. Yeah. That one's interesting. That one kind of caught me off guard. Actually,
yeah, it's weird in the list, right?
What you were going through,
but it's cool. Entwined existence is your first boon. Your symbiote is a separate entity with its own physical form bound to yours. It isn't a separate creature and relies on you to survive, of course. Okay. It has intelligence, wisdom, and charisma scores. The DM sets the symbiote's abilities or determines them randomly. Roll 4d6 for each score, drop the lowest. So you would roll stats for it for the mental scores. Right. But the DM rolls those. Okay. So the DM gets to decide where they're assigned. The symbiote can see and hear using your senses.
I think that's a fair area for a fudged roll.
Yeah.
Because that's I think because if a player comes to me with, I want to do this character. Yeah. Okay. Now here you need to take care of this aspect of it. Right. Now I might not have anything. Yeah. And I might just roll and go. But if I've got something in mind, it's like, okay, well, I want to do this with this character, and this is how it's going to link up. Rolling the stats may not be
ideal.
Ideal.
I also think that it's important for the DM to recognize with this one that this one will be extra work for you. Yes. The shadow, that realistically, the shadow's not a lot of extra work, right? No, but it's just this will happen unless they roll a 1. Yeah. And then you have extra work.
Well, on that point, really, when you're looking at all these the lineages and dark gifts so far, all of them are extra work on the DM, right? But they're also all extra work on the player.
That's right.
So, I'm okay with that balance.
Yes, I agree. The reason I think this one might be a little bit more is because, unlike the Whispers, they're not always talking back to the player. Right. This is a situation where if this symbiote can speak,
well, it's the same thing.
The DM has to speak for them
as a sentient weapon.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
If you're going to give one out, you need to be on top of it.
It absolutely is. The rest of the boons here, the symbiote speaks, reads, and understands 2 languages, one that you speak, as well as one appropriate to its nature. Right on. Choose one of the following skills of Arcana, Deception, History, Intimidation, Insight, Investigation, Nature, Religion, Perception, or Persuasion. You gain proficiency in those skills, one of those, if you didn't already, representing the symbiote's counsel and guidance.
One of those.
Yeah, you don't get them all.
I'm thinking this every time, every character from now on.
If you die, so does your symbiote. Yeah. If you are subsequently returned to your life, your symbiote revives as well. So you can't just kill and have a cleric revive you to get rid of it. Again, these dark gifts cannot be gotten rid of except by gaining a new one. Right. Sustained symbiosis. Your symbiote has a vested interest in your survival and takes steps to ensure it. Yes. When you fail a saving throw, you can choose to have your symbiote expend one of your hit dice to roll it and add the number rolled to the saving throw, potentially turning the failure into success. I think that's really cool.
I don't know what, you're going to go into the negative. Right. The negative I'll get with that, you're going to lose those hit points.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good way to balance it.
Because
you're expending it.
Well, I mean, look at the barbarian.
Yeah.
1d12.
Yeah. If it uses this feature on the death saving throw, you succeed on the save and regain 1 hit point regardless of the number rolled on the d20.
I'm good with that.
So it basically just gives you that health.
Yeah.
Once you succeed on a saving throw to do this trait, your symbiote can't use it again until you finish another long rest.
Okay.
And then here's the bane.
Okay.
Your symbiote has an agenda that drives it, and it expects you to assist it in achieving those goals. How permissive or patient it is in resolving its agenda depends on its personality. Work with your DM to depend on your personality.
Yeah. Yes.
If you have an opportunity to advance its agenda and don't act on it, the symbiote can try to force your hand. You must succeed on a charisma saving throw, 12 plus the symbiote's charisma modifier, or be charmed by the symbiote for 1d12 hours. While charmed, you must try to follow the symbiote's commands. If you take damage that is not self-inflicted, you can repeat the saving throw, ending the effect on a success. And there is a table for the agendas as well. But I like that this one is not when you fail a roll, much like the Shadow, right?
Right.
This one instead is very RP focused.
Yes.
For the table, number 1 is the symbiote seeks to destroy a specific type of being, such as fiends, trolls, paladins, etc.
Okay.
And the symbiote will encourage you to do so.
Right. Pretty standard. I like that one.
Number 2 is the symbiote craves knowledge and is determined to solve a mystery or learn a secret.
That would be fun.
I like that a lot. Number 3 is the symbiote wants to bring a prophecy to fruition or to thwart one. I think that could be really cool if it was like sent by a god and it was hurt, and when you rescued it, it claimed a part of you
on
to
the
continue its mission.
Sunday campaign that nobody else would ever hear about. Boy, would that be
right? Right?
Wow.
That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Number 4 is the symbiote seeks to defend the servants and interest of a powerful being or organization.
That's good.
Could be very cool.
Yeah.
Number 5 is the symbiote wants to keep you from harm at all costs and believes it knows what is best for you.
Absolutely. A mothering symbiote would be perfect.
100%.
Would be fun.
100%. No, I'm going to charm you so you don't take this jump.
Right.
Because that's not a safe jump. What are you doing? I'm in control for the next 12 hours.
Yeah. Yes.
And number 6 is the symbiote seeks to experience new sensations. The more bizarre, the better.
Oh, man.
You wake up and you're eating peanut butter on top of a bare chicken leg.
Well,
uncooked.
Okay, here's the thing with that one. At first, mundane.
Yeah.
And everything. Here's the thing. Really go through, because we're talking about Ravenloft here.
Yes, 100%.
And
horror campaign.
This, depending on, because there's things that are fun to play, but not for every group.
Right.
If a succubus or incubus is somehow involved, that might be fun to play. Not good for all groups.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
So this one, when you really think about where you're going with it, beware your group around it, because
I agree.
You can go deep with it.
I think it can also lead to some really interesting situations too. Maybe, one of the old school DM tricks is you introduce a child or a young character to the party that they then want to protect.
Yeah.
But then maybe one morning the kid's gone and nobody knows what happened to the kid. And they find that player who's been charmed by the symbiote who has murdered the child.
Yeah.
To find the sensation of killing something that you love. It's I know that's dark.
Yeah, but that's what we're talking. But that's what I'm talking about. There's groups and campaigns where the violence or the erotic are okay,
right?
And then there's other groups where they're not.
Yes.
And when you're dealing with Ravenloft, especially the classic idea of vampires, and we're going through some of these dark gifts,
right?
To rip off a Clockwork Orange phrase,
the
ultra violence, or the ultra erotic, could be there for some groups and
Absolutely.
really work.
Absolutely.
And you may want to have the ultra violence on there,
right?
But that person sitting next to you doesn't.
Yeah, they're not into that.
So like just with and this one really clicked that off in my head.
Right.
New
sensations.
Symbiote, the new sensations and things. It's just another reason for a good session 0.
And I agree. And it doesn't have to be those kind of specific things either. I could see a situation of, we keep going back to a king, right?
Yes.
I could see a situation of you're trying to talk to the king and the symbiote notices the throne and goes, hey, I want to know what it's like to sit on that. And you go, no, we're not doing this.
Never spoke to a king before.
Right.
And wasn't put in his own thoughts.
Absolutely. You know? And he charms you and takes over because you failed to save.
It does.
And then guess what? By the end of this conversation, the king's dead.
You're sitting on a throne.
Yeah. And everyone's mad at you.
Yes.
There's a lot you can do with that I think is really cool.
That is very broad and very in a good way.
Yeah.
You know.
So I know we're going a little bit long, but we only have 2 more.
Okay.
And I'd like to go ahead and cover them today.
Absolutely.
The next is Touch of Death.
Okay.
Your touch is pain, your rogue, harming whoever you come in contact with. The deathly power within you is beyond your control, affecting any who touch your bare skin. By the same token, you can deliver death to your enemies with your touch.
Wow.
The deadly touch table is a D6 as well.
Okay.
Number 1 is your body is alchemically or biologically altered, infusing you with deadly chemicals.
Okay.
Which is very cool. Number 2 is the magic of a slighted druid or fae makes small plants wither and insects die in your presence.
Hold on. That first one.
Okay. Yeah, let's go back to it.
What was it? Not the first one. 28 weeks later,
yeah,
they find the mom who they think's immune to it.
Yeah.
And she's not. Well, she is, but she still has it.
Yes. Yeah. She's a carrier.
Yeah, that's the kind. Yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That first one's got some weight to it.
Yeah, I agree.
Off the bat, I like that. Okay,
I think the second one's pretty cool too. The idea of like you're trying to play it off as if it's nothing, but anytime you get around insects, they just die near you.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to make other people wary of you. Hey, you walked in the room and that plant in the corner killed over.
Yeah.
It just wilted.
You came through the farming community, though, and all the locusts died, so
yeah,
you're a hero there.
You also killed the crops.
Oh, yeah.
Number 3 is you're the harbinger of a grim prophecy. Any creature your touch damages is marked with a temporary scar of a group, fiend, deity, or other force that takes an interest in you. So basically, doom follows in your wake. As anything that you touch, they come for. So cool. I could see somebody in my mind. This one is like, imagine a life cleric that has spent their whole life healing people.
Yeah.
And then they heal somebody and they see the mark from behind and remember they've been given this. And hey, you just killed that guy.
Yeah.
He's alive right now.
Yeah.
But they're coming for him, you know? And especially if you play that into like they're coming for you. Mm-hmm. And you're leaving the mark, kind of like Captain Jack Sparrow, Black Spot, right?
Yes.
You're leaving it behind and it keeps coming back. So much you could do with that.
I was thinking about, a father who survived a night in the woods, come home, hugs his kid.
Yep. Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And has no idea,
Yeah. That's how he learns.
Oh. Number 4 is you survived a near-death experience, but shouldn't have. Ever since, death and ill omens follow you. So that's literally you cheated the Reaper, and now he's mad.
Yeah.
So
I like that. That you could use that definitely. A Final Destination session would be really fun to do with that.
He starts killing everybody around you.
Yeah.
But you're still fine because he's waiting for you last.
Yeah.
Number 5 is you are out of sync with time or reality. Anything you touch is warped by the distortion. I love this one.
Wow.
You touch somebody and all of a sudden they're seconds off from where they should be. Nothing's quite right anymore and they got to reacclimate to the world. You touch a clock and the hands speed up for a moment. Or you touch a bird and it dies because you've accelerated its lifespan.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. This last one is horrifying. And the last, number 5 was horrifying too, right?
Yeah.
This one somehow is more. Every time you touch a creature, you hear the laughter of someone you once harmed.
Ew.
Yeah. That one. Ooh.
Don't touch me.
Can you imagine? Anytime somebody... Because it's not just if you touch them, it's if they touch your bare skin, too.
Well, see, that's what I like about that. I mean, I picture somebody almost like the Invisible Man wrapped up, no, don't get close to me.
Yeah, don't touch me. I don't want to hear them laugh.
Yeah, we can talk. stay over there.
My first thought is like a Kratos situation.
Mm.
But instead of carrying the ashes of the family he accidentally killed, it's, I guess that's spoilers for God of War 1 for the opening cutscene.
Right.
But instead, it's I accidentally got my whole family killed, and now anytime somebody touches me, I hear my kids laugh again.
Yeah.
You know, can you imagine? Oh.
No, I don't want to.
Oh. So obviously heavy RP with this one. Your boom,
that's
go ahead.
That is a weakness for some people. I think let me pick it up, and I want to point this out. If your players aren't invested in this somewhat,
right,
in the backstory stuff that's not going to be rolled on the dice,
yes,
these aren't going to affect much.
Right. I would instead go for some of the other gifts that are pure dice roll, and then transformation's a great one, right?
Yeah,
that's an effect that, like you said, even light role play, you can make use of that.
Yes.
Your boons, Death Touch. You can focus your Deathly Touch against your foes. As an action, make one unarmed strike on a hit. The target takes an additional 1d10 necrotic damage. From level 1, be doing an additional 1d10 necrotic damage when you hit. This damage increases by 1d10 when you reach 5th level, 11th level, and 17th level, up to a total of 4d10. Just for touching somebody. But that also means you better not touch people when you don't mean to.
Yeah.
Inescapable Death is the second one. When you hit a target with an attack roll and deal necrotic damage, you ignore the target's resistance to that damage.
That won't come up often, but when it does,
yep.
Boy, you're gonna be glad to have that.
I think it's really interesting too that this one doesn't have a Bane feature because it itself is the Bane.
Well, yeah, the you not being able to touch anybody.
Right.
I was wondering about that actually.
The last one is the last boon here, Withering Contact. When you start your turn grappling a creature or grappled by it, the creature takes 1d10 necrotic damage.
Cool.
But remember, again, every time you touch someone, your Deadly Touch feature, the manifestation of it, triggers.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. You're accelerating time, or you're leaving a mark for the people that are after you.
Yeah.
You know, it's really interesting. That, again, that is the Bane in and of itself, right? This last one was made for me.
Okay.
It's called The Watchers.
Okay.
Something is always watching you and draws ethereal spirits that take the form of creatures made of shadow stuff, usually in the shape of tiny beasts that follow you and gather in your general vicinity. These creatures act like normal examples of their kind, but their behavior suggests a hint of malice. Yeah. No matter what precautions you take, you can't permanently drive these spirits away. They always return, wait just beyond the reach of deterrence, or later crawl out of your clothes and equipment. I love this.
So I want to make a group with, have 3 of them mixed up, 1 Mistwalker, to guide them through.
Yeah.
And maybe Ravenloft is their end goal.
Yeah, to purge the gifts somehow.
Yeah, but they don't know how to get there. So the Mistwalker takes them and they go through different things. So they finally.
That'd be really cool. So this one has a table as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a D8.
Oh.
The first one is Carrion Eaters.
That's the most so far, isn't it?
It is the most so far. Carrion Eaters as in like jackals, ravens, vultures. Yeah. Again, remember, these are the watchers that are always near.
Yeah.
They pretend to be normal, but something about them isn't right. And the picture example that they give are cats, but one of the cats has 4 eyes. One of the cats has a long snake-like tongue that it can't pull back into its mouth. These things that are just almost, if you passed by and weren't paying attention, you'd never notice it wasn't a regular one.
A frog with cloven hoofs.
Yes. Oh. Number 2 is Inescapable Judgments.
I have a girlfriend and children. I get that every day too. So I don't.
I just think it's really interesting. You go from Carrion Eaters to Inescapable Judgments.
Yeah.
Animate tools of punishment, drifting eyeballs, or religious iconography.
Okay.
Like I said, this was made for me.
Yeah.
I just imagined like a cleric that has broken his oaths and is on the run because he thinks people are hunting him. But the truth is, the curse he was given is this oath of the
Yeah.
Watchers. And so people are, but it's constantly his holy symbol showing up in front of him again, but slightly off.
Yeah.
Number 3 is Nightwings, bats, moths, owls. Can you imagine just a bunch of moths that aren't quite right?
Yeah.
And constantly, if you think you got rid of them, you shoo them away. They come back out of your sleeves or out of your ears.
Yeah.
Ugh. Number 4, plague carriers, as in fleas, rats, or squirrels.
Right. That makes sense.
Number 5 is unnatural observers, animate objects, clockwork devices, otherworldly voyeurs. Imagine you walk into a room and all of a sudden the clock has eyes.
Yeah.
And
Or just the painting.
Yeah.
The thing actually looking at you.
Right.
turning
It's
its
not just
head.
sometimes.
It's turned its head to look at you.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Number 6 is sea skulkers, crabs or eels or jellyfish. Number 7 is stray souls, ghost orbs, shadows, or ectoplasmic wisps. Can you imagine how much fun this would be if you had a Watcher Dark Gift player and the Living Shadow Dark
Yeah.
Gift player in the same group?
Right.
Where, like, the shadow's moving and the Watcher immediately jumps again. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, that's just my shadow. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because maybe it's not. Maybe your shadow's left to go do something again, and that's the one watching me. You know, the RP there.
Yeah.
And then the last one is venomous vermin, scorpions, serpents, spiders.
Yeah.
Your first boon is borrowed eyes. As an action, you can influence the presence guiding the Watchers, for an hour. For the duration, you gain advantage on intelligence checks and investigation, perception checks, and you can't be blinded. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest.
Okay.
So I know they're following me. I need their help.
Yeah.
I'm going to call on them. And for an hour, I can use their eyes. Dread Presence is the Bane. And you may think, well, that wasn't a very good boon, really, this one doesn't. This one's RP. This one doesn't have a lot of boons. The Bane is you have disadvantage on deception, performance, and persuasion checks made against creatures that can see the Watchers.
Okay.
And you have disadvantage on saving throws made against the scrying spell because you're always being watched. You can temporarily disperse or hide the Watchers with some effort. With 1 minute of work and a successful DC 15 animal handling check, you can suppress your borrowed eyes and dread presence for an hour. Once you successfully suppress these features, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, but they will always return.
It's like a dark. Well, it's pretty. I was thinking of the Crow.
Yep.
And
So there is no real boon for this one. I mean, don't get me wrong. Borrowed eyes is handy, right?
Yeah.
For an hour, you have advantage on investigation or perception checks, and you can't be blinded. But that's all you get.
yeah. Well, and on the opposite side of that, I don't think the Bane's like.
It's not bad. They're not actively trying to hurt you.
Yeah.
You're just never alone again.
Right. So I think RP heavy.
Yeah.
Is there? I think that one's balanced out well as well.
Yeah. I think the best way you could play this as a DM is, the entity that's watching you currently has no reason to try and kill you. But if you ever give it a reason, it knows where to find you.
Yes.
And just, I love it.
Well, they've done a lot with making, like, actually bringing this, with these dark gifts and lineages so far, just bringing this world to life.
Absolutely.
And each one has a feel.
Yes. Well, once we get into the Dark Lords and the Domains next week, I think it'll really start to tie in together.
Yeah.
Because the Domains of Dread will give you even more options to use these.
All right.
But out of the ones we've talked about, because I know we've gone long already, which one do you think is your favorite so far?
Oh.
It's a tough choice, right?
It is. I think they're all.
Let me run down the list again for those that might have forgotten which one we talked about an hour ago. Echoing Soul, Gathered Whispers, Living Shadow, Mistwalker, Second Skin, Symbiotic Being, Touch of Death, and The Watchers.
Honestly, they're all great.
Yeah,
They
I
really
like 'em all.
are. I can't really hammer on a couple of small changes. Here there we talked through, but I can't. I think for me running something, the Mistwalker.
Yeah.
Because I mean, wow.
Yeah. So many options with that.
Yeah. Every week a different domain.
Yeah. For me, it's
really
definitely the Watchers, as you could probably guess.
Yeah.
But my first thought with that is, hey, a Warlock, great old one patron.
Yeah.
There is now an aberrant being following you to keep an eye on you to make sure you hold up your pack.
You did something to where the great old one didn't trust you anymore.
Right.
And now he's keeping an eye on you.
He has given you a gift of eyes that will help you see.
Yeah.
Eyes on the inside, right?
Right.
But now you are forever watched.
Yeah.
I think another good way to play this would be, again, Warlock, but also like a Paladin or a Cleric or even like a Druid, right? Of, hey, you have almost broken trust.
Yeah.
Now to ensure you don't, here's a gift.
Yeah.
And I could also see this being done with like a king who's got, or a ruler, an emperor, who's got a court sorcerer that is like really powerful, and they don't trust you anymore for whatever reason. And hey, if you're going to stay in my employ, you're going to have to take this watch. You're going to have to take this curse.
Or maybe it's, part of the position.
Yeah.
For the history.
You could see a mafia boss.
Yeah.
That makes you sign a contract. And part of that is you have now signed on to have this watcher to keep an eye on you. And maybe this watcher is shadows and nobody else notices the shadow. But that shadow's watching you constantly.
I kind of would like to do with that gift is like, okay, you're a journalist group. Okay.
Yeah.
And you take these with you to help you record,
Yeah, because they're always watching.
They're always watching. Make sure you get the story straight.
Yeah.
And there's always pressure because y'all get the stories nobody else does.
That's right.
And y'all get details that nobody else, people don't catch.
Right.
And everything else. That would be fun.
But the eyes are always on
there.
you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. I've got to. I really think they've stepped up so far.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to hear in a few weeks when I can start looking at D&D stuff on YouTube again.
Yeah.
Well, even with I've had stuff spoil with me.
Yeah.
Because I'll avoid the subject.
Right.
Because you can't just avoid the bug. I got to avoid everything. But I had stuff spoil from me in the MCU.
Yeah.
From the thumbnail.
Yeah.
When I did, that's like, I'm waiting. So I've been avoiding it, but it's got, it excites me, man.
Oh yeah.
It excites me for what they're trying to do.
It's my favorite book so far.
Man, it would be hard for me to argue against that.
Because again, everything so far has been made for Ravenloft, right?
Right.
But you can take that stuff and with very little effort, almost all of it, you can just drop into a regular campaign.
Well, what I'm getting out of it is every time we're going through something, it's like, hey, this is for the DM.
Yep.
This is how you look at it.
Yep.
This is the player.
Very
this is
different
how the
from
player looks at it.
Yes.
Even though it's the same thing.
Right.
It's the same power, whatever. There's two different sides to looking at it, and y'all are gonna have to discuss it, coming from both those different sides, and then you'll have it, and you can roll with it, and you've got a character. You've got this interesting part of this character.
Absolutely. I said it before. I think Mystic Odyssey of Theros was a step in that direction, where they tried more to go, hey, the setting has this, so work with your DM to figure out how. But like you said, this is way more in depth of the DM's going to control this part of it, and you're going to control this part of it, and the two of you are going to work together to make it work.
Yeah,
it's so good. And for the DMs, here's a rundown of how this could happen. It's so much better, especially for new DMs. And even for older DMs that have been set in their ways because they haven't had a choice.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But just the way it's presented, like so that you're reading off to it, it's like, okay, DM and player side by side can look at this and go, they're both going to walk away with, the information that they need to make this work. And I think so far, this is, I'm excited. I guess that's all I'm going to say.
I have one last question for you before we wrap up. Do you as a DM think you would want to use some of these dark gifts on NPCs? Because I instantly had some ideas for NPCs. that could have a few of these.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, I can say with confidence, yes. There would be running this world.
Yeah,
there would be NPCs that you run into that's going to have something.
Yes,
because even if you don't follow through, you just use the flavor of it.
Right.
You're adding to your world.
Yes,
and with the lineages that you're going to be working with anyway, you're probably going to have some NPCs that are of those lineages.
Oh yeah,
and the dark gifts just kind of.
I'm picturing in my head the party enters a tavern and they look for the guy that's always in the corner, and this time instead of a rogue or a sorcerer or anything like that, there's just a guy bundled up in the corner, sitting at a table minding his own business, and they go to like grab him by the shoulder and he reacts, he jerks back to like, hey, don't touch me.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, no, this guy's a harbinger, you know?
Yeah.
Just the even if the party didn't get involved with it, the immediate expansion of world building that they have of the innkeeper going, hey, don't mess with that guy. He's a harbinger.
Well, not that. I mean, what a great concept for a cult.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, nobody messes with those people over there. They stay wrapped up.
Yep.
A lot of stuff, man.
Man, a wizard in his tower that when you enter in, he casts silence and goes and holds up a sheet that says, don't say anything. They're watching.
Yeah.
They'll read your lips, Just, there's so... Yeah, we need to wrap up, but there's just so much you can do with this.
Well, we'll give them the good old outro here in a second. We'll then catch Tuesday night on Twitch. Mm-hmm. If you're interested in video games, you can catch that at 7:00.
Yep.
The pre-show starts at 7:00.
Yeah.
They'll get rolling. If you're interested about the D&D video game, it was discussed last week, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll be up on YouTube. And go check that out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any more announcements I can think of. The Discord.
Yep.
You can join the Discord for $1 a month.
Mm-hmm. Check out our Patreon. Get access to that Discord.
A lot of different topics in there.
Oh,
and even stuff that doesn't get reviewed on the channel will get discussed in Discord a lot of times.
Absolutely. The last thing I wanted to run by was just a reminder that next week we're going to talk about domains, the domains of dread. We're going to talk about Dark Lords.
Yes.
And where you would want to put them, what it means to make a Dark Lord. Because, again, there aren't a list of Dark Lords.
Okay.
Instead, the domains have the Dark Lords that would have been in them in the default version of that.
Right.
Which is, I guess, is still a list of them.
Yeah.
But it's not just like, hey, here's all the Dark Lords.
Right.
It's the domain is what's important. And here's the person that was the Dark Lord over there and could still be if you wanted them to.
I think I would, run a 7 Deadly Sins.
Yeah.
Like each. You've got a Shadowfell. I think it'd be, of course you can run it through the Abyss or whatever, but running it through
a Dark Lord that represents each. And
running through that would be awesome.
And we'll go over how to make your own Dark Lord. But again, the Dark Lords they are not the important thing, right? They are the leader of the domain.
Right.
But the mist, the dark powers, are what is really in control. And I hope we haven't confused anybody by using Dark Lord, Dark Gift, Dark Powers. Trust me, I get where you might be confused there. But the other option is to have wildly different names for each. Yeah. And I do like that they all flow together. Yeah. So you can remember, well, this is all from the same kind of thing.
Well, that's... I think there's something... Ravenloft has its own flavor, its own feel. And while we've got that a little bit out of some of the stuff that's come out, we really haven't got a full-fledged version of, hey, this world that you're playing in here, you're not running through Neverwinter.
That's right.
It's not Phandalin.
Right.
This is a completely different thing. It feels different. Yes. And I can't think of anything we've gone through so far in this 5th edition where it's like, okay.
I agree.
Now we got a different world.
I agree. All right. Well, we'll be back to talk about domains and Dark Lords next week. Awesome. But until next time, I've been Trey.
I've been Rungren.
And we've been the Full Spectrum Dungeons & Dragons. Retake. We have been the Full Spectrum Dungeons & Dragons podcast. Why does that not sound right now?
I don't know.
It's always been that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The Full Spectrum D&D podcast.
Yes.
And until next time, remember to always enjoy the full spectrum. the dark gifts, and the Watchers.